Hola, hola, good evening. Hello, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all healthy and in good spirits this Thursday evening. It's the 20th of June, 2024. Um, and I thank you all for tuning in. We're live on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok.
Yes, and LinkedIn.
Oh, and LinkedIn as well today. So, welcome if you are all hearing us well, hearing us okay, seeing us okay. That's good. If you're not, say something so we could fix it as quickly as possible. And share, subscribe, send this link to someone you like, love, and respect that is into land investment and wealth building, safe land investment and long term wealth building for themselves, their families. Don't be selfish. As always, we want to keep it good vibes only. So only people you like, love, and respect. Remember that. In case I am a new face to you, my name is Solomon Wangwe, founder, CEO of Goshen Acquisitions and its wholly owned subsidiary, Grand Acres, the most transparent, hands down, number one land sellers in Kenya. And I'm so happy to be here today. It's been a while since we did a live. It's been what, a month almost? Yeah, it's been a month. We're still debating how often to have these because we want to make sure it's a good value for everyone. So let's see how today goes. Format is always question and answer. You have a pressing question, comment, observation to make around land or property investment in Kenya. That's what we're discussing for today between now and 9 p.m. It's now 3 minutes past 8 p.m., so we have 57 minutes to make the best of it. So please go ahead and send in your questions, comments, criticisms, compliments. Say something. Don't be quiet. That's why we're here. If you don't say anything, I'm going to sit here quietly until you do. So the earlier you do, the better. And let's all learn something new at the end of it. Okay? So, Twende Kazi. That's Swahili for let's get going. Let's get to work. Kalimali underscore Africa. I see you. Thank you for tuning in. I think that's Instagram.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. There we go. Kalimali says, how is land ownership affected by this bill? They are trying to change ownership to lease renewal. Well, the land is not yet affected. The bill has not passed, hence all the noise making. We all wait to see to what extent the demonstrations and the outcry from the general public will cause those who prepared that bill to make adjustments or take a different direction. But listen, I've said this before: freehold versus leasehold. Those are the only two types of land ownership tenures in Kenya. They are exactly the same, except for freehold, you have absolute ownership for perpetuity, meaning forever. With leasehold, you have the exact same ownership rights as freehold, except your ownership has a limited time period, which is renewable. Okay, in Kenya currently it's 99 years max. 99 years, you have the exact same ownership rights and privileges as you do a freehold property owner. The only other distinction is that if you're a foreign national, meaning you do not hold Kenyan citizenship, you cannot own freehold land whatsoever. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. Okay? If you're a freehold property owner, you have to be Kenyan citizen. If you're not, you can only own leasehold. Kenyan citizens can own either or. A Kenyan citizen can own freehold and leasehold alike. No difference between the two except for the limited time period for leasehold and provision for being a Kenyan citizen to own freehold. I hope that's clear. So, to whatever extent the bill passes or doesn't, meaning that all land ownership changes to leasehold, the main reason for that is lease properties have to pay annual taxes to the national government as well as the county government. It's not so for freehold. With freehold land, you do not pay any annual property holding taxes to the national government. Obviously, the intent would be to increase revenue generation by having all freehold land, which is majority of Kenya, converted to leasehold, which means you will likely, at least initially, be limited to a 99-year ownership renewable. Although I imagine that if the bill passed in that state or that particular clause went through, there would be enormous pressure to increase the term of ownership from 99 to some other term if you're going to force everyone to be on leasehold. But, that's my theory. Bottom line is the intent is to increase revenue generation for the national government. Hence, the proposal to convert that to lease, because then they can charge annual taxes, property ownership taxes, known as rents. Okay, rents paid to the national government. Rates are paid to the county government. We have tons of content about this. We've discussed this many times on this live. You can look through the archives to consume more information. And as always, have a licensed advocate of the High Court of Kenya in your back pocket at all times that you can consult with and get competent, current, and up-to-date information. So that's my 2 cents on that one, Kalimani_Africa. Thank you for asking. Okay. Nivia Karuri on TikTok says, how many spaces, plots are left in the new Elementator project? I believe as of today, there's 8. It was about to be 7, but someone did not bust a move with their deposit payment. And we are working in earnest to make sure that we're sold out in the fastest time frame possible. Our target is actually this coming week for good reasons, which I cannot share at the moment. So if you're interested, please reach out as quickly as you can. Send an email, DM us, go to WhatsApp. The WhatsApp number is 0700010001. Again, that's 0700010001, and we'll be happy to get whatever information you need to make an informed and urgent purchase decision to you. Thank you for asking.
There are a lot of questions about the finance bill.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay.
I have my trusty assistants behind the scenes, if you will, as usual. That's why you might hear me talk to someone. I'm not talking to spirits. I'm in the room with live human beings. So pardon that. Alan_Bash on Instagram. What's up, Alan? Thank you for tuning in. Alan says, what do you think about the Finance Bill 2024? That's a very wide scope question, Alan. So I'll refrain from answering because we are on this live session to discuss land specifically, not any politics around the Finance Bill, because the Finance Bill touches on all sorts of things besides real estate. And I've already shared my opinion about the lease situation, right? Let's wait and see. I pray that reason prevails and decisions are made that most of us are happy with. I.am.nesh, I can't pronounce that name. I am Nesh on Instagram. What's up, I am Nesh? I am Nesh says, as a Gen Z, Niko na swali moja, ati nimesikia shamba zote za our ancestors zinarudi to the tax collector. I am Nesh. I think that's your Swahili version of the first question I just answered with regards to the proposal to convert all land in Kenya to lease. Yes, if it passes, that's exactly what would happen, because most ancestral lands in Kenya currently exist, if they have title deeds, as freehold. Meaning it would convert to leasehold, which means you'd have to pay annual ownership taxes to the national government, otherwise known as the land rent. You're right, I am Nesh. It's a disturbing thought. I don't blame. I don't like it. I think it's a terrible idea to do that to all lands. I think ancestral lands, traditional lands, should be left alone. Um, let's see how things go. Okay, Alan underscore Bash on Instagram says, I bought land in Imbuko 3 and wanted to check with you what the progress is in Imbuko. Thank you for your question, Alan underscore Bash. Progress in Imbuko, I mean, besides the community of owners increasing because of our sales there, I can't say that much has changed. I presume you're probably referring to infrastructure. County government hasn't done much on their part, neither has national government. Density continues to increase. It's very attractive to prospective or prospecting land investors because it's relatively cheap compared to other parts of the country. Stunning views of Mount Kilimanjaro, virgin soils, excellent for farming for those who are into that idea, although no one ever really farms. Most of the people we sold land to in Imbuko over the last 12 years have always said they wanted to buy so they can farm. Exactly 0 people have started farming. And I understand why. The notion of farming sounds nice in theory. Practically, it's a different situation, especially if you're not living there. So while our sales continue to roar, which is good, it's a great indication on public opinion and sentiment about the prospects for that area, there hasn't been much change in terms of infrastructure. I mean, we continue to do road grading when we subdivide and do Maram roads. I guess that's a good contribution to infrastructure. Technically, that should be done by either the national or county governments, but we can't wait for them to do it, so we do it ourselves. The rest remains as it's been, Alan. But thank you for asking. We'll keep you posted as we go along. Never have I ever says, and this is from YouTube, says, and when are you bringing another Imbuko? Can't say exactly, but we're working on Imbuko 7 and 8 as we speak. We have to go through the due processes with Kajiado County, and they often take longer than we like. So stay tuned. We will let you know as soon as we do have something. Never have I ever. Thank you for asking. Sporty.Africa on TikTok says, can one get a title deed for land which was given to the owners under settlement scheme? Yes, I believe the process one needs to follow is known as adjudication. Okay, you can get a title for land that was given under settlement schemes. It takes a bit of time because they prefer to do those in bulk. They don't like to do singular conversions or title creations because settlement schemes generally cover thousands of acres at a time, which means you're dealing with thousands of individual allottees, landowners, and such. Even more if you count descendants. Okay, so they like to do those in batches, in bulk. of hundreds or thousands because it's more cost effective that way. So it can take time, but it's possible. Do it right. Work with experts, licensed professionals, no shortcuts. Don't work with random brokers who have nothing to do with any of the offices that are relevant in terms of surveying, in terms of beaconing, in terms of title deed registration. So, in my view, in my opinion, I dare say qualified opinion, you need to identify a licensed advocate to work with as soon as possible. Okay. Along with that, identify a licensed surveyor to assist you. With those two licensed professionals in your corner, you should be able to navigate that process fairly seamlessly with the government authorities, the government surveyors, and the adjudication officers involved. And I wish you all success. Sporty.africa on TikTok. Thank you for asking. Lefty on TikTok says, how does a title work on apartments? Okay. Lefty on TikTok, we've covered this before as well. There's quite a bit of content out there, even on our platform, our archives. You can even find some useful information on Ardhi Sasa, the government's Ministry of Lands platform, Ardhi Sasa. Just Google Ardhi Sasa. You'll be able to navigate their page and get some decent information on this question, which has to do with sectional titles. Sectional titles are fairly new in Kenya. I think it's now 2.5 years since they were passed into law. Great thing for the country, great thing for property owners, for individual apartment owners, because it was a mess before. It works exactly the same way as it does for land, which is a point for sectional titles, is to provide each apartment unit a title deed covering its dimensions, just as if it was sitting on the ground. Okay, so you have exactly the same privileges and rights as you would a title deed holder for a piece of land on the ground, as you would for your apartment on the 15th floor. Hope I've helped answer your question. Lefty, thank you for asking. Nivia Karori on TikTok says, will there be a similar project, waterfront property? From your mouth to God's ears, Nivia Karuri, we are praying and looking actively for more waterfronting property, whether it's one of the Great Lakes or Lake Victoria or our coasts along the Indian Ocean, coming soon. So stay tuned, and I thank you for asking. I look forward to updating you on that. Ahadi Group. Hey, I was wondering what happened to Ahadi Group. Nice to see you as always, joining us on Instagram. Ahadi Group says, hi Solo, is there a law that restricts partners who have bought land together not to sell the land without the other knowing or without their consent? Yes, I suppose, Ahadi. They're not explicit laws. It's the same laws that govern any other sort of transfer. All parties listed on the title have to consent. They have to sign the sale agreement. They all have to sign the land control board application if it's a freehold agricultural piece of land, or if it's agricultural, even if it's a leasehold. If it's agricultural, you will need all the owners signing the application forms. You will also need them to sign board resolutions if you are partners in a limited company or limited liability partnership. Depending on what your memorandums and articles of association says, yes, you can't do anything without your partners. We don't need new laws for that. Those pre-exist. They are prevailing, and you should be covered. Thank you for asking. Kalimali _ Africa on Instagram again says, So if I bury my grandparents on our ancestral land, 99 years pass, and my grandchildren cannot pay incurred debts, does that mean the government can come and take my land and unbury me? No, no one can unbury you without a court order. Those are difficult to get to begin with. There's all sorts of messy cultural issues to be sensitive about with that as well. Yes, in theory, if all the land, including ancestral land, gets converted to leasehold in Kenya, if the bill passes, which I don't think it will, but we're waiting to see. 99 years pass and you're unable to renew your lease. All that happens is that the land ownership reverts back to the government. Usually it's a county government, becomes county property, and they can assign that lease to whomever they deem has met the requirements for being granted that lease. Okay, but your grandparents cannot be unburied. That requires court orders. Generally speaking, though, for the same reason that ancestral lands contain or hold or have burial sites within them, uh, no entity likes to deal with those in that way. Even banks, most banks I know will not touch land as security that has burial sites on it, precisely because if you default and they have to auction the property to, uh, make themselves whole or recover their debt that you've defaulted on, it'll be virtually impossible for them to sell it with burial sites on it. Even if they could, very unlikely that someone else would want to buy land with other people's graves on them. Um, yeah, so we wait to see. I think let's not argue about who is going to sell the milk from the cow that we haven't bought yet. Let's wait to see how the finance bill goes, and then we can debate some of these implications. Quincy on Instagram says, what can one do if his or her plot is deceitfully sold to a third party? Quincy, I would need more details to understand what you mean by deceitfully. Okay, because that could mean any number of 2 dozen or more scenarios. Uh, so yeah, if you can share more details before I can comment meaningfully. But if it can be proven in a court of law that it was deceitful, that should be easy to reverse and annul. Okay. Burden of proof obviously would be on you to prove that it was deceitfully done. Some of those hurdles are easier to get over than others, but without more details, Quincy, that's all I'd have to say. And I wish you well. That's a terrible situation if that's where you find yourself. I hope you can resolve it quickly and painlessly. Grand Acres, hello. This is from How Did It Start? Saying, any new properties from your scouting trips and what happened to those scouting videos, guys? Well, no new properties yet. We've been scouting things here, there, everywhere, even outside of this country. Nothing we want to share yet, but stay tuned. Um, and what happened to the video scouting guys? Well, some of them are still part of the team. Others are no longer part of the team. But thank you for asking.
I think you're asking what happened to the video.
He's saying, and what happened to those scouting videos, guys? Okay, punctuation mark, misplacement or non-existence. Okay, so Gladys just clarified for me that the question is what happened to the scouting videos? Okay, not the guys. I guess you don't care about the video guys. Scouting videos, well, like I said, We're scouting here, there, everywhere, including outside of the country. Nothing we want to share yet, but stay tuned. Africa four-wheel drive on YouTube says, "Hi, I saw your lakefront land for sale. What can one build there?" Thank you, first of all, for seeing our lakefront land. If you happen to watch any of the ads that we put out there, we do mention that these are residential lots. Residential, they're zoned residential, approved by Nakuru County. As such, these will be freehold residential plots of land. If you're a foreign national and you happen to have bought or wanting to buy, your specific title will undergo conversion to leasehold for obvious reasons. But that's the only thing you can do. It's zoned residential and master planned that way. Okay. Any other use is prohibited if it's contrary to residential. And I might add, this is the only duly approved and master planned residential site on the waterfront at Lake Elementaita. You will not find any other property like ours with a proper licensing from the relevant authorities, whether it be Nakuru County or Ministry of Lands. No other residentially zoned property will you find on the shores of Lake Elementaita, touching the water. If you're watching us on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, you should see the video that's playing. That's me. You can tell by the shape of my kisogo, standing facing the water, and that's the aerial shot. We are waterfront. We don't use those words flippantly. We never misrepresent facts. Every image you see, every video is actual footage of the actual site. We do not use stock images to portray some image of some promise of something that doesn't actually exist. Everything you see, videos, pictures, is actual of the sites. Stunning, beautiful, none like it. So buy yours now before they're gone. There's only like eight of those left. Currently going for 5.49 million shillings only, with proper licenses for residential use, quarter acre, a whopping quarter acre. Incidentally, that's the smallest we would probably ever sell on the lakefront. Yeah. So if you're interested, reach out to us as quickly as you can. WhatsApp number, it's on the screen, 07 0001 0001. I'll repeat that once more, 07 0001 0001. Reach out, DM us on Facebook, Instagram. We'll send you the details, arrange for site visit if you're keen. And we'll get you owning this premium gem of a piece of land at this UNESCO World Heritage Site touching the waterfront at Lake Elementaita. Only Grand Acres can promise you that. Thank you for asking. There's another question from Africa Four-Wheel Drive. Will there be any other discount offers? I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Abeldine, Abeldine, interestingly, on Instagram says, what about buying a land for the resident, not Kenyan? So you're a foreign national who's resident. Even if you're resident and you're not a Kenyan citizen, you still are not permitted to own freehold land. You're treated exactly the same as a foreign national who is not resident. Yeah, residency has no impact on whether or not you're permitted to own freehold versus leasehold. Unless you are a Kenyan citizen, even if you're resident in Kenya, you cannot own freehold land. Guys, I mentioned this before. There's no wiggle room. There's no corner. There's no like weasel clause. There's nowhere to penya on this issue. There is none. Zero. None. Zero. It's very simple. If you're not a Kenyan citizen, you cannot own freehold land in Kenya. Period. Resident, not resident, married to a Kenyan, doesn't matter. The Kenyan spouse can be registered as the owner, but not you if you're a foreign national. How do you pronounce that? Q Freddy. Q Freddy on Instagram says, if I bought a piece of land from you and I want to farm instead of building a house, is anyone is there anyone who can stop me? Let's say in Buko Phase 5. If the zoning is specific to residential, Q Freddy, you cannot farm on it. Not commercially anyway. And I'm not talking about your kitchen garden where you're growing, herbs and tomatoes to use in your home. That's not farming. Okay, we're talking about commercial type of farming practices. If the land is zoned residential, like many of our Imbuko lots, the 1 acres especially, those are zoned for residential eco villa purposes or use, you can't farm. If you're buying, one of our freehold agriculturally zoned 5-acre lots, 10-acre lots, absolutely. Bob's your uncle. Anything else? You have to maintain the user that has been approved by the authorities. Otherwise, someone can't stop you. A Hadi group on Instagram says, hi Solo, for Acacia Cove, will you guys be setting up a homeowners association for the members so that we can start communicating and knowing our neighbors? Absolutely, we would, Hadi group. We had hoped to do that once we were done with sales altogether. That's taking longer than we had anticipated for many good reasons. But that is in the intention to create the homeowners association as we promised. So stay tuned. I mean, just a little bit more patience, and we'll be happy and relieved when we can finally cross that milestone. So I appreciate your question, Ahadi Group. Another one from Ahadi says, I would really want to meet Washu. She is like a role model. Okay, Washu, I don't know if Washu is on today. We haven't had contact with Washu for a while. I know she's been traveling just from tracking her socials lately. She's been globe trotting. We'll be happy to put you in touch with Washu Ahadi Group. You don't have to wait for the Homeowners Association to get formed. Let's have a offline conversation and we can get that done. So happy you are back, Solo. This is a comment from It's Brian. Yo, is that a real person? For real, guys, that's a real person. Don't danganya me. You guys are enjoying me. It's Brian. Yo, okay. Brian says, so happy you are back, Solo. I learn a lot from your videos. Thank you, Brian. I'm glad that you learned something from our videos. It does take some effort to keep doing these, and we're happy to share our learnings. And let's all get wealthy together, build wealth for our families, for the future. Thank you for your comment. Afro Elegance 03 on TikTok says, so if I was born in Kenya but not have Kenyan citizenship, I can't buy land? That's not what I said, Afro Elegance 03. Are you, come on, man, let's, do you need coffee? I can share some with you. in a Grand Acres branded cup. I'm sorry, I had to floss, and I took advantage of that opportunity. Afro elegance. Uh, Foreign nationals, even those not born in Kenya or born in Kenya, cannot own freehold. So if you're born in Kenya but do not have Kenyan citizenship, you can't own freehold. You can buy leasehold, so you can buy land. Only thing is you can't buy freehold. That's all. I know everyone keeps hoping that there's like a weasel clause, a crack in the system that they can use to buy freehold land if they're not Kenyan citizens. There is none, guys. I'm sorry, zero, zero chance. So get your Kenyan citizenship, or marry a Kenyan citizen and have the property registered in their name, or convert the property title from freehold to leasehold. That's also possible. Conversion can be done. It's actually easier to convert from freehold to leasehold than it is to convert from leasehold to freehold. For obvious reasons, if you convert from freehold to leasehold, you're creating taxation opportunities for the national government, which they love, obviously. If you're trying to convert from leasehold to freehold, you're taking away a tax event for the taxman, which they don't like. So, if you are a foreign national who does not have Kenyan citizenship, even if you were born in Kenya and really want to buy a piece of land, but it happens to be freehold, just have the conversion done before you are registered as the owner. Very easy. It takes about 3 months to do. You'll need to work with a registered planner to carry out that process for you, along with a licensed advocate of the High Court of Kenya. And you can own the land. So don't go telling people I said that you can't own land or you can't buy land, even if you're born in Kenya and you're not a citizen. Okay? Not true. Okay, Quincy underscore on Instagram says, how can you advise one to acquire a title within Embakasi ranching? How can I advise one? Very simple. Go to our website, www.grandacres.co.ke, find the tab that says checklist, click on it, enter your name and email address, and you should have a brochure sent to you, the 9 steps to safe land buying in Kenya that we put together. Amazing resource, absolutely free for you to use. If you follow every single one of those steps in sequence, you should have no problems buying land in Embakasi Ranchi. Okay, one of two things will happen. Either you will run away from that transaction because you will not be able to check off every single one of those steps on the 9-step checklist, or you'll go through it successfully and will be able to acquire a piece of land with peace of mind, knowing that no one is going to be able to come take it away from you. So get the checklist. It's absolutely free, and share it with other people you know who are looking for land, especially those who've been burnt before. Don't be mean, don't be selfish. Share the resource, and make sure you share this link to this video as well. Hadi Group on Instagram says, after how long do you recommend for an individual to do a land appraisal? It depends on the location and all the activity going on around it, Hadi. If you have a site you want to share, happy to give you that opinion in context, but I think every 3 years is good. That's what I would do. If it's a very densely populated area with lots of development activity happening, I might do it every year. I know people who value their properties, especially commercial property owners, We'll do valuations on an annual basis as a standard practice, particularly if those are listed as assets on the balance sheet of a corporation. That has obvious implications on um, asset values, on a financial statement. But even as an individual, it's good to keep track of that on a periodic uh, basis of 3 years, in my view. Yeah, obviously you can do it as frequently as you like. It costs money, obviously. You have to pay a licensed professional to do the valuation report for you. And they charge a percentage of the market value of the property. Uh, Even though negotiable, it's a significant cost. So you might not want to do it every year just for the sake of doing it. Every 3 years, maybe five is a good number to work with. Thank you for asking. Smoke underscore KE ish. Smokish, I guess. Smokish. Very interesting handles today. Smokish on Instagram says, kindly repeat what you have said about getting that 9-step checklist. Okay, what you'll do is go to our website. It's scrolling beneath me right now. If you're watching us on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and TikTok, www.grandacres.co.ke. Find the tab that says checklist, usually on the top right side of the screen or of the site. Click on the tab that says checklist. Actually, why don't we do that right now for those who are on the StreamYard platforms? www.grandacres.co.ke. You can go to the website. No?
I won't be able to do it live.
Not live.
Probably pre-recorded.
Aha. Okay. So yeah, we can't do it with you live because of all the platforms that we're using to share on multiple platforms. But you can go to our website, www.grandacres.co.ke, find the tab that says checklist, click on it. You should find a table asking for your name and email address. Enter those, especially your email address, and it'll automatically, instantaneously shoot you an email with a brochure, the 9 steps to safe land buying in Kenya, that we put together for you.
So
Yeah.
I'll put a question that was asked earlier because they've done a follow-up
Okay.
explaining why they asked.
Afro Elegance 03. Okay, this is a follow-up question to the first one.
They are explaining.
Okay. So I'm supposed to inherit my mom's land. That's why I'm asking. Okay. What was the first question? If I was born in Kenya but not have Kenyan citizenship. Okay. Well, Afro, your first question has to do with buying land. Your second question says you have to inherit your mom's land, which is not buying. In either case, if your mom's land is freehold and you don't have Kenyan citizenship, you cannot legally inherit that piece of land. It has to go through conversion to leasehold, okay? Or you follow up on acquiring Kenyan citizenship so that you can be registered as the owner of record on that freehold title. Hopefully, you're working with a licensed advocate to assist you with this, a succession law professional or specialist, and also ideally one who can deal with conveyancing competently. They should be able to help you navigate this fairly easy. But thank you for clarifying. Mike Quinoa says, "Hi Solo, I hope that you are doing well." Mike is watching us from Facebook. And he further continues to say, "Great work you keep doing on Q&A over there. Would you advise one to buy a 40 by 80 sized land or opt for a 50 by 100 one if the price and purpose is all right? Good evening from Kariguini." Kariguini? Am I pronouncing that properly? Kariguini?
Kari, Karigo, Karigwe,
Kariguini. Oh, Komandizi. The banana place. At the bananas. Okay. Kariguini, Muranga County. Well, thank you, Mike, for the kind compliment. Would I advise one to buy a 40 by 80 or opt for a 50 by 100 if the price and purpose? Okay, first of all, price is relative. That has to do with your pocket strength. It's subjective, the issue of price. If you can afford it, no issue there. Purpose, I think that has to do with zoning. What is the property or the plot of land zoned for, regardless of the size? What is it zoned for? And is that zoning appropriate for the purpose you are buying it for? That's all. If there's alignment on those two issues, buy all day long. Buy them by the truckloads. If you have the money, buy them in threes, fours, and tens. Listen, land is a diminishing commodity by its very nature. It's unless you're off the coast of Hawaii where there's a giant volcano spewing lava into the ocean and creating brand new land very slowly, there is no more land being created on this planet. And we human beings, we kind of multiply like rats. There's millions of us being born every day. More of us are being born than are dying, even with all the wars that are happening. That basically means there's increasing pressure on a daily basis, literally on an hourly basis. There's pressure and increased competition for this limited commodity we call land. So naturally, it's going to continue to be more and more valuable over time. The more of it you own now, the better. And that's why I said, Mike, if you can afford to buy 2, 3, or more, make sure your due diligence is tight. You've downloaded the checklist, I hope. If you haven't, shame on you. Do it now. Hire yourself a licensed advocate. That's step number 6 on the checklist. Do it right and buy them by the truckload. Thank you for asking. Africa 4WD says, also, can I mention that is a nice hoodie Solomon is wearing? Are they for Grand Acres? Are they for sale? Thank you, Africa. I feel like this Africa 4WD person knows me. Thank you. It is a nice hoodie. It was a gift from Flaco. I don't know if you watch Flaco. Flaco is one of Kenya's funniest, multi-talented comedic geniuses. And we worked with him for a little bit a while ago, and he gifted me this hoodie. So no, it's not for Grand Acres. It's for Flaco, and I don't know if he's selling them. Maybe you can check on his platform, but I didn't buy it. It was gifted to me for free. Thank you for asking. Aziza Satawali on Instagram says, what will the estimated cost of setting up SBRs at Acacia Cove be? Well, initially our estimates indicated a price range of about 450,000 shillings for each SBR unit, but we just got costings done within the last 2 weeks for the gatehouse, which is supposed to have its own unit because it's gonna house guards and workers who will be manning the gate and caretaking on the compound. And the latest cost, I suppose, It would depend on the capacity you want to go for. But for the purpose I just described, we're looking currently at somewhere between 800 and 900,000 shillings for a single SBR unit. SBR means sequential batch reactor. It's essentially a miniaturized waste treatment plant. It works exactly the same way as the giant centralized ones that government is known to build and manage, except uh, it's scaled down. It works exactly the same way for a single household, or maybe you could cluster for a few households if you do the appropriate capacity. Um, and the effluents would basically be converted into recycled water, suitable for landscaping, washing your car, everything other than drinking. Flushing your toilet, that sort of thing, which is great for the environment. Obviously, you don't want to spend too much money pumping water out of the ground to water your grass. You want to recycle as much as you can. This is the beautiful thing about SBRs, a lot more efficient than biodigesters, and a million times better than soak pits and all the other sorts of interventions that essentially kill the environment over time, because you're dumping all that crap into the ground. It seeps down into the aquifers, and your neighbor a kilometer further down the road is pulling it out from their bowl as drinking water. Nasty business. So SBR units are the way to go, in our opinion. That's why we're doing them on Acacia Cove. That's the indicative cost at the moment, circa 800, 900,000 shillings. Obviously, if you're doing a bunch of them at once, you could negotiate discounted rates with your contractor because of volumes, but that's a price we're looking at the moment. Thank you for asking. Kangs_RG on Instagram says, "Hi Solo, hope you're well. I know you mostly deal with land. Though, would you please be able to guide on what documents are required for a maisonette? Thank you." Well, pretty much the same. Only difference is that the land has a maisonette sitting on it, but process is exactly the same. Okay, unless you're now dealing with inspection issues in terms of structural integrity of walls, termite inspections, and that sort of thing, plumbing. Those you can work with the right experts to do inspections for you, but everything else is essentially the same. But for best guidance, work with a licensed advocate, and they'll be able to walk through that with you. Thank you for asking. Cheesy_Mweusi on TikTok says, "Hey there, would you rather buy a plot at a prime area or a big chunk of land in a remote area?" Cheesy Mweusi on TikTok. That's a great question. Although, as we've always pointed out, even on our Grand Acres checklist, 9 steps to safe land buying in Kenya, step number 1, define your goal. Your intention for buying the land will determine everything else. So, in some cases, depending on the reason I want the piece of land, I'd rather buy a plot in a prime area. If I want to farm or speculate, I might prefer to do a big chunk of land in a remote area. So it depends. The best answer I can give you, Cheesy, download the checklist. I can tell from your question you haven't downloaded the checklist. It's free. We're not charging for it, not yet. So download it while it's still free, and share it with others as well. How do you pronounce that name?
I'm not sure.
I'm not pronouncing it. Yeah? Asewe. How would you pronounce it?
Kelai.
Ke, Kelai G. Kelai, wow, the handles today are just on another level. Kelai G on Instagram. Thank you for your comment on Instagram saying, what is your broker fee if looking to sell a piece of land in Gong? Well, Kelai, we never act as brokers or agents. We only sell what we own. So if it's not registered to us, no one will ever hear about it from us. Okay, so we're not the right partner for you for that. But I wish you all success finding the right one. And thank you for asking. Kalimali, hey, Kalimali wins the award for most comments and questions today. Kalimali underscore Africa on Instagram says, how are we protected when investing in land with you guys once this bill passes? I don't understand your question, Kalimali. Why would you need protection with regards to the bill if it passes? So many hypotheticals in your question, Kalimali. Would you please be more specific so I know exactly what question to answer? Yeah. We have 2 minutes before it's 9 p.m. So let's get those questions in before we're done. Omina underscore Oyombe on TikTok says, what is the difference between freehold and leasing in this bill? Already answered that, Omina, twice or on today's live session. Download the checklist. There'll be helpful pointers there. As far as this bill is concerned, I don't want to waste time debating hypotheticals. Let's wait and see if it passes or not. Then we can talk about the implications on whether or not there is a difference between freehold and lease. Thank you for asking. Okay, questions ended right on cue. It's now about 40 seconds to 9 p.m. It's been a pleasure answering your questions, interacting with you all. So many of you took time to join us on this lovely evening when you could be doing something else, and we don't take it for granted. God bless you guys. If you know someone who would benefit from the information we discussed today, please share the link to this live video. It's going to be posted on our socials for rewatching. If you like, share it with your friends, family, loved ones, only those you like, love, and respect. Good vibes only. Make sure you subscribe. Please subscribe, like, give us thumbs ups, and hit the notification button so that you are told when we have something new on our platforms. Thank you so much, and I look forward to next week. God bless.
you.